Hey y'all, it's Melissa from Little for the Kid. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'm a homeschooling mama of 3, and most of what you find on my channel is homeschool content, although I throw some other stuff in there sometimes too. Mom stuff mainly, planners, home life, food, allergy life, things like that. Anyway, so if you're interested in those types of things, I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button and stick around for more. So today is another homeschool video, and it is a collaboration with Abby from Rooted in Rest and Jessica from the Waldock Way, and there's going to be a whole list, a whole playlist on this topic, so that you can go check out a whole bunch of other amazing homeschool mama YouTubers discuss the same topic, and that topic is burnout. And I don't know about you, but I am struggling with it big time right now. So if you are interested in hearing my tips to avoid burnout, stick around. Okay, so I do have handy dandy notes in front of me, so if I'm looking down, that's why I'm looking at my notes, just to remind myself I'm a talker and I tend to rabbit trail. So I try to make notes so that I don't bore you to death and get off topic. So let's talk about homeschool burnout. First of all, I am a homeschooling mama of 3. I have 2 8th graders and a 1st grader, and we are in our 2nd full year of homeschooling. I was a traditional school teacher prior to pulling my kids out of school and homeschooling. I taught in the classroom for 17 years before I started teaching homeschool, and I do also teach at our co-op as well. So I still teach other people's kids too, just not as often, mostly just my own. And I love it. So first of all, my biggest tip for you in avoiding burnout, which is what is the most helpful to me personally, is having a super flexible schedule. Now, that can mean different things for different people. For us, the way that I give myself some flexibility in my schedule is that we do year-round homeschool. And that does not mean that we never take a break. Obviously we do. I don't know if you're familiar with a year-round schedule. Some public schools have year-round schedules. Actually, a million years ago when I was doing my student teaching, I did my student teaching at a public school who was already doing year-round school, and they loved it. There's still summer break, there's still fall break, there's still Christmas break, spring break, all those things, but most of the breaks are shorter. Like there's not like this big, huge, long summer break. It's shorter, and some of the holiday breaks are longer than what you think of in traditional school schedule, and some of them are shorter. So you basically are still schooling the same amount of days. It's just broken up differently, if that makes sense. So for us, we do a year-round schedule, and there are some holidays and some breaks that I go ahead and schedule in from the very beginning when I'm planning my year out, and I know we're going to take them. Obvious things like Christmas. We don't school the week of Christmas. We live in Mardi Gras country, although Mardi Gras is canceled this year. I'm really, really sad about it. So I don't know if we might not take Mardi Gras off this year because there is no Mardi Gras, but things like that, vacations that we have planned, set in stone way in advance. We always set in stone, plan ahead. We know when those are happening, and we take breaks then. But I don't plan out all of our breaks because I like to leave myself the flexibility to, like, if one Friday we're all about to kill each other and like we're all feeling so burnt out and so crazy, that I like to be able to have the flexibility to say, you know what, we're going to take next week off. We're all driving each other crazy. We need a break, and we're going to take next week off. And we can do that without it stressing me out and feeling like it's going to put us behind. And so that, I have found, is my biggest help for avoiding burnout, is knowing that I can comfortably say, you know what, we're just not going to school next week. Now, obviously, you can't do that a lot. because you'll run out of weeks. But if you're careful about looking at your whole year and having, an end of the year date when you want to be done with everything, and you just keep an eye on your big picture, then you can afford to do that, and you can put in those breaks when you just really feel like you need them. And for us, right after Christmas is always one of those times. So I'll be honest with you, we have sort of eased back in, and we really haven't started like full-blown school, doing everything, all our subjects, all our activities, everything yet. That's not to say we have taken a complete break for a month and a half or anything. We didn't do that, but we have kind of eased back into it, and coming up this Monday, we're really back in like full force, pretty much everything. We still have one more week before our co-op starts back, but pretty much all of our other extracurriculars and things, and all of our homeschool things that we do at home, we're back to all of that starting this Monday. So that is really my biggest and best tip for you, is figure out a way to give yourself some flexibility, so that if you need to take a day off or 2 days off or even a week off, that you can do that without it stressing you out and feeling like I'm making you feel like you're getting behind. So that's my big one, flexible schedule. Number 2, allow your children as much independence as possible. Now, obviously, that depends on their age. As I said, I have 2 8th graders and I have a 1st grader. So I have a huge age gap in my kids, and obviously my 8th graders are able to do a lot more things independently than my 1st grader is. But I would just encourage you to let them do as many things independently as they can, because number 1, it teaches them responsibility, and it helps them learn to be able to manage their time wisely and get everything done and learn how to do all of those things and be independent. But it also gives you a break, so you don't feel like you're actively teaching all the time. And I feel like that helps with our sanity as homeschool moms, right? To be able to not be hovering over a kid all the time. And especially if you have a lot of children, you have to divide up your time already amongst so many children. So the more they can do independently, the better. Now, that is not to say you don't check their work. You have to check it, because they won't do it if you don't check it. But I do encourage you to let them do as many things as they can do independently. My 1st grader, he does his handwriting independently. He has a journal that he writes in every day, and he does that independently. He writes his date all by himself. Sometimes he'll have to say, hey mom, is today the 15th, is today the 4th, whatever. He'll check with me about dates, or he'll ask me about a spelling word or something. But for the most part, my 1st grader, he's 6 years old, he does his journal completely independently, and he'll bring it to me afterwards and let me read it. And it's always so cute, and I love it, because it's really 100% his little brain thinking of things to put down on paper. And so I love that. And then all I do with him is language arts and math. He does pretty much everything else independently, and I check it after he's done, and it's good for him and it's good for me. So that is my second tip. Allow them to do as many things independently as they can. It will save your sanity, I promise. Number 3, plan, and then plan, and then plan, and then stick to it. Now, everybody is not as OCD and as planneraholic as me, I realize, but I would really highly suggest that you find a method of planning that works for you, so that you aren't like struggling, like, what are we doing today? What did I forget? Oh no, are we behind? Are we going to finish on time? When you don't have a plan, it can be stressful for you, and that obviously leads to more burnout. So you figure out how planning ahead works best for you. Like, do you need to just wait till the night before and just glance at everything and make sure you know what you're doing tomorrow? Do you want to plan a week at a time? Do you want to plan a unit at a time? Whatever works for you, do it. For me, I plan a week at a time. I plan on Sunday afternoon, evening, depending on how our Sunday goes. I prep for the week and I plan for the week. And the reason I do that is because we don't always get through everything that we wanted to. And so I don't like to plan 2 weeks ahead or 3 weeks ahead, because if I plan this week and next week and we don't get everything done this week, then my next week plans change, because we have to finish what we didn't finish this week. That goes back to that flexibility thing too. That's part of how I keep my homeschool a little more flexible, is I plan a week at a time, so that I'm not feeling like I'm having to replan because things didn't go as planned. So for me, working a week at a time works really well, and I plan for the week, and most of the time we get everything done that I intend to get done in the week. But if we don't for some reason, then no big deal. I haven't planned yet, and so it doesn't change my plans. It doesn't stress me out. It doesn't frustrate me. And then balance your expectation with your flexibility. So don't expect too much out of yourself or your kids. You want to have expectations, obviously, because you want to have a deadline, because you don't want to just be floundering around and, not finish things in a timely manner. You want to be ready the next year to go on to the next grade level and so on. But you do want to offer yourself some flexibility so that you avoid the stress and the frustration and the burnout. So maybe it's a plan, or maybe it's just a checklist. Maybe you're not a super big planner, but you could at least, make yourself a checklist of things that you want to get done, or a checklist for each student, maybe, that you want them to get done. Whatever works for you, find a method of planning that works for you and stick to it. I promise it will help you not feel burned out and frustrated. And number 4, this one is, I think, maybe the hardest one for mamas, and that is self-care. Mamas are terrible. We are terrible about taking care of ourselves, aren't we? I think we're just so programmed to take care of everybody else around us that we forget that you cannot pour from an empty cup. So you have to fill your own cup up as well. And I know for a lot of us that feels selfish, or that feels impossible because we don't have time or whatever, but I think it's super important to fill your own cup up in the ways that are most helpful for you personally. And that could be a lot of things. That could be making sure you have your quiet time with the Lord every day. That could mean, time by yourself. I don't know. Maybe you're like, at 8 o'clock, I'm going and taking a hot bath and nobody's calling me. Like, if you need me, sorry, I'm unavailable. Like, pretend I'm not home and go take a hot bath, or whatever it is. Time with your spouse, time with your girlfriends, whatever it is that helps you fill your own cup, regroup, get ready for the next day or the next week or whatever it is. I think that's super, super important, to take care of ourselves as mamas. That's true for everybody, but especially as mamas, and I think especially as homeschool mamas, because we're not like working moms where we're doing something away from our children for, the day. It's not like that. I'm not saying one's easier or harder or better or worse. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying we, as homeschool mamas, stay-at-home mamas, we're not away from our children as much as working moms. And so I think sometimes we forget that, and we forget that, it's okay to take care of ourselves. So that is my 4th and final tip to avoid burnout. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, give my video a thumbs up. I'd love to hear from you in the comments what you plan to do to take care of yourself and fill your own cup up. If that's something you haven't thought about, you need to be thinking about it, because it's super important. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.